And welcome to another episode of Breaking Into Cybersecurity. Today, I have the pleasure of having Ayo on my podcast after I was on his a couple months ago. But he has an amazing story of breaking into cybersecurity himself, and I wanted to share that with everyone. But before we get there, follow myself, follow him on LinkedIn. If you're joining us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. And if you're listening after the fact, give us 10 stars or five if you can on any of your podcast providers and share it with your friends and family because we really need more people in cybersecurity and from all sorts of backgrounds. And that's why we love to highlight individuals from all sorts of backgrounds to show you that you do, yes, have a place in cybersecurity. You just don't know it yet. So, with that, Ayo, tell us a little bit about your story. Like, where were you before cyber and why cyber?
Yeah. First off, thank you for having me on this show. I'm grateful to be here. So yeah, my path into cyber started after I graduated from high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and it was a bit rushed because in Canada, you you really have to be specific with what classes you take because
Mhm.
certain programs have prerequisites of high school courses. Very strange. I don't really like it as much, but it's very different from the U.S. where you're graded on your SAT scores and high school GPA, and you can take maybe advanced courses, AP courses, right, to get college credit. But in Canada, if you don't take certain high school courses, you can't go to certain degree programs, which makes you really think about what you want to do way earlier than I think you really need to. So come my senior year, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to do accounting. I thought I wanted to do. I didn't really know. I enrolled in a trades program. I wanted to be a truck mechanic, just because of the demand in
Mhm.
trucking and just the really low supply of truck mechanics. And they made decent money at a decent wage,
Mhm.
and I started that program after I graduated, and it was rushed. I remember making the decision, and then my mom helping me enroll like the week after, and we were late and just rushing in, right? And it's kind of unfortunate that I really didn't take the time to really think about what I wanted to do,
Mhm.
and just put so much pressure on myself so young. After about one semester of that program, I realized it wasn't for me. I realized I wanted to do something different, and while I dropped out, I was at home and I just stumbled across a article about a hospital getting hacked, and they lost $400,000 in revenue in 2 days. Uh,
Wow.
the first question I asked myself was, how much would they pay to not have that happen? And that really led me through the rabbit hole of cybersecurity. I started looking at certain studies, and that was 2016. So um, they said there'll be a shortage of 2 million professionals by 2020,
Yeah.
which is when I graduated. So what I did was I looked for programs nearby. I looked for how can I get into this field? What's available to me? And as luck would have it, there was a program. The first cybersecurity degree program in Canada was a 10-minute drive away from me. It's a 4-year degree program, and I looked at the coursework. Um, I looked at what was needed to get in.
Mhm.
I also looked at the results that other graduates obtained after graduating the program, and I spoke to some on LinkedIn, and they seem to have been doing great, working for great companies, very well situated. So I realized that this was a well-respected program, and it was something that I think would work well for me. There was one prerequisite. I remember saying how in high school there's certain courses you have to take college and university level courses. So I had to go back and take one course, and I got a conditional offer. So I went back, did a high school course, um, got into the program, and that's how I got in. Um, and I remember just the fear but excitement of this program. It's 4.5 years long, so that's 4 years and an 8-month co-op.
Mhm.
And that's how I initially got in.
Wow. So that's a lot like the British system where you have to do either math or science, and then you do your A levels, and then you can go to college or university and like kind of pick out what you want to do. So
Yes.
um, let's take a minute to address some of the audience that we have here. We have Roy checking in. Okay. Not the wrong day, Roy. This is the right day. Um, hey, Frank Ahmed. Hey, Fulushid. Sorry, I missed
Olashade.
Fulashade. Sorry. Um, hey, Aaron. Yep, you think they'd pay a lot, Aaron, right? Um, we all thought that. But yeah. Uh, so you did this course. What did you get coming out of the course, and how did that line up to real life?
So what I got coming out was just a understanding of the fundamental technologies in computer
Mhm,
science and cybersecurity. So the first 2 years of the program was mostly just basic IT and computer science, databases, programming, and then the last 2 years was everything we did in the first 2 years, but with a bit of cybersecurity sprinkled on top. So we did forensics, we did database security, we did ethical hacking, malware. We actually worked with malware and saw how it worked at the assembly level.
mhm.
um, I and I got some work experience too, which was great coming out of the program. So I really felt well positioned to start in my career, and yeah, I gained a lot of perseverance. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I know I said this before, or I messaged you about this, but I don't know if I could go through it again if I were to go back. Like when I look at myself now, I can't believe I went through it. I struggled deeply in the program, and I mean, other students could have a part time job. I didn't. I couldn't take my eye off the ball, or else I'd
Yeah.
fail the program. That was my experience, and I stuck with it. I struggled through it, and I learned a lot about myself. About it's one day at a time, one course at a time, one test at a time. Success is gained in the moment. So um, I learned that okay, I can sit down, I can spend 2 hours studying, and I'll give it my best, and then tomorrow I'll do the same thing. I don't have to worry about the final exam already. I don't have to worry about you know I'm in first year. I don't have to worry about fourth year. I just got to worry about what's in front of me, what the teacher said on the class at class on Monday. Understand that, and then move forward. So I learned about patience. I learned about taking things one step at a time. Um, but what I didn't understand was the real world. What I didn't understand was soft skills and interviewing and really the practical side of cybersecurity
Yeah.
when applied to business issues. So
So so you came out of college, what was your first job? Like, did you go straight into cyber, or did you have to start in help desk?
yeah, so I did help desk while in college. So I did a
Okay.
lot of jobs in college. So I was doing help desk was my first internship after my first year, I believe,
Okay.
or second year. And then I had a few internships being an IT technical analyst, as well as a network and system administrator
Okay.
intern as well. My first job outside of college was at Deloitte as a security system specialist. So I worked with maintaining and configuring SIEM,
Mhm.
specifically logarithm, and that was my first position. And there are a few options. I had a few interviews, but I ultimately went with Deloitte just because of the breadth of experience I thought I would gain, and just the level of expertise so many of the members on the team have. I thought I'd learn a lot.
Let's kind of take a step back before you get that role.
Mm.
Um, So you're out of college, you had a couple IT jobs. What was it like applying to get that first cyber role? Were you getting a lot of denials? Were you getting um did you apply to 100 jobs? Like what was your journey into it?
Yeah, so I initially I had an offer from an internship I did before, but it was rescinded because of the pandemic. So up until graduation, I was coasting. I was like, I have a job set up for me. I'm not really like it was great. Other classmates had the same thing, right? They
Mhm,
weren't stressing at all. I lost that. I lost another job that I applied for in August. I graduated August, so
mhm,
I've been interviewing for this position since May, and I got it, and then they never got back to me after I accepted the offer. So I was stressing out, um, and I was very strategic with how I applied for jobs. It wasn't difficult for me. I applied to 20 jobs. I got 4 interviews. I got 2 job offers. That was my experience. But I also applied to like 5 jobs a week. I also talked to
okay.
three. I also tried to reach out to 3 people per job posting.
I'm
Um,
okay,
yeah,
let's talk about that.
yeah,
So, um 5 jobs per week, 3
yeah,
people per job posting. How did you find those people?
yeah. So I got LinkedIn Premium,
Okay.
and I worked on my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn was my pamphlet. My LinkedIn was my marketing. It's my marketing page basically. It's about me. I have my headline. So my headline was really targeted. Um, Cybersecurity graduate looking for full time work within cybersecurity. I, I let everybody knew I was ready to work. If you looked at my profile, I'm ready to go.
Mhm,
I made that very clear. Um, I also I made a spreadsheet. I made a spreadsheet. I tracked everything. I treated applying to jobs like a job. So
mhm,
on one day, and I would never like I wouldn't apply to jobs randomly. Like I started doing that a bit, but no, I kind of had to take a step back because what would happen is you get a phone call, and then have to interview for a job that that you randomly applied to, and you'd get beaten out by someone like me who was targeted come interview time because I
mhm,
remembered I applied.
mhm,
So yeah, 5 jobs per week, and on the Excel sheet, I'd have the date, I'd have the company, the position, and then I'd
mhm,
go on LinkedIn and find 3 to 4 people that I believe might know about the position. I
mhm,
believe might benefit from having somebody like might benefit from the company finding a great person for this position.
mhm,
And it was twofold. It was informational because I want to know about the company. So how's your experience working there? I'm applying for this role. And also, is there anything I can do to better position myself for this opportunity? What are they looking for? Do you know what would they be looking for? So that would give me a leg up one way in that if someone else applied and got the interview and I got it, I kind of know what to say a bit better
mhm,
because someone told me, hey, they're looking for this because the job list the job description is a lot, but 9 times out of 10 there are a few specific things they want to have, right? And the rest are just great add-ons. And the second thing about it is that I'd be able to develop relationships with people as well, right?
mhm,
So let's say I didn't get the job, they could always keep me in mind, and I can still follow up with them later, right? They might go to another company and remember me. So you never know; it always comes back around. So I would expand my network. I would know about these companies, right? Because sometimes it's like, from what I'm hearing, this might not be a great fit for me. From what you're saying, it might not be a great fit. And it really helped me. I'd go to a ton of networking events, tons of networking
virtually?
events,
Virtually
virtually,
or okay.
yeah, virtually at the time, tons of networking events. And my school had networking events set up for us. I do gotta say, it made it a lot easier.
Mhm,
That's how I got a few of the interviews. So I'd go to networking events online a lot. Um, but I'll keep track of everything. I'll keep track of who responded to me. I'll keep track of who didn't. I'll keep track of the last time we spoke. I'll keep track of what we said the last time
mhm.
we spoke. So I was very structured in that approach.
Nice,
Um,
nice.
yeah.
Well, let's address some of the comments that we're getting. Roy says, great message, great story. Really needed to hear this today. Roy, I'm glad that's a booster for you. Derek, we might talk about how to get your first job, but I think some of the tips he's dropping right here can help you ethically hack your way into a first job using his approach. Uh, Alex asked, 4 interviews after 20 applications. Those odds are fantastic. I'm curious, what roles you had up to that point, or was it just a help desk?
Yeah, that's a great question. I ate mud for the first 4 years of my program, so I scraped by getting an internship for 1 month as a help desk analyst for a company here. My second year, I got we had co-op in our program, so I had 8 months of work experience total. 4 months as an IT technical analyst. I was doing security work as well as system administration work and as well as help desk. And then the other role was as a uh, network and system administrator co-op.
Hmm.
I got a lot of certifications. I got my CCNA. I got my CAPM. I got. I think when I applied, I got Splunk as well. I had that. I also enrolled in the Canadian Armed Forces as a private recruit, as an information system security specialist. So I loaded my resume up before I graduated with as much things as possible, and it worked out well. I think that's a main reason why I had the success I had.
Wow. Um, uh, Fola asked, do you think a strong technical background is a core requirement for anyone entering the space?
Uh, I wouldn't say it's a core requirement, but it helps. Just because I look at it as supply demand. The supply of technical security knowledge and the demand are just it's night and day, right? So it helps. Um, it is a long learning curve though, and I would just say to start and see what technologies you'd want to work around at least. But yeah, this conversation it can go both ways, right? I would go into the field with some cybersecurity knowledge at least personally, and I have done it, and it's helped me a lot. It's helped fast track my success, even into non-technical roles, right? But I would try to at least look into the technical aspects of cybersecurity, even at a surface level. It really helps, I believe.
Yeah, I'd tack on to that and say that you don't have to have like a certification, but it's helpful. If you are using the approach that Ayo's using and doing networking and doing using that approach, then they can speak to your technical knowledge, your passion for the industry, even though you don't have the certification, and kind of take that approach first versus going out and getting like a degree, a cert, everything. If you could speak to all that, you don't need the paper for it because they already see that you have it. So I just want to jump in there and say that.
Of course.
And I know Ayo also has a podcast like this. So Ayo, tell the folks about your podcast and what you learned from that.
Yeah, so my podcast is titled "Get Hired in Cybersecurity." I had Chris on. Go check out that episode, please. And yeah, I started it last year, August. And that was about a year after I had a year of experience in the field, and I learned a lot from it. I learned that there's many ways to get into cyber. I learned that there's many different experiences. I learned that you know I talked to a lot of recruiters, and I got a lot of knowledge about what's happening in the industry, from a business perspective as well as from a recruit perspective as well. What are some things that stick out for candidates, right? Resume wise or behavioral things during the interview. What do businesses need right now? What are they struggling with? Um, I also got one great story that I'll never forget is someone who literally started their own company and you know basically did cybersecurity consulting freelance and used that to gain a job. I could not believe it. That was to date one of my most memorable podcasts because I mean he just knocked on doors and said, "Hey, I'll do an assessment, or I can help you with this. Just give me a good review, and I can use you as a reference." And he was able to land a role in cybersecurity just doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things that we tell folks that come onto the podcast. Oh, I have no experience. Okay, you don't have any excuse for that. I mean, you could go out, you could volunteer, you could talk to your church, you could talk to the local YMCA. They need help with it. There's lots of ways to volunteer, or like just say, hey, I might not be your A-level consulting company, but I can help you sort out your website. I can help you secure that down and get your job freelancing like that. So definitely an approach that you can use. It's a little bit harder, boots on the ground, but you learn a lot when you help those small businesses, especially when you think about how those people, how small businesses think, because security is the last thing on their mind. So you have to show them how security can help them.
Definitely.
For you, how do you keep up with your career? How do you keep on top of things?
That's a tough question. I mean, I think really, I think networking is number one. Talking to people has been probably the number one thing that's helped me in my career so far.
Mhm.
I transitioned actually from my technical role over to sales, and that's
Okay.
new for me because I'm in a brand new type of position, um, where I need to learn a lot more. I need to learn about the business side of things. So I'm kind of going through what I went through again, with business and finance, and learning how cybersecurity fits in the business, and speaking to the C-level executives and people who make the buying decisions, right?
Mhm.
Before I was really on the ground and working, so I never really heard about those discussions or participated in those discussions. But now I'm doing presentations, introductions, pricing, um, you know, timelines of, okay, when is this going to start. So it's really interesting, and I think it's just always learning and speaking to people, getting their experiences. That helps a ton for me.
Mhm.
um and it's ups and downs, right? It's never perfect. Sometimes you're not really as confident, but it's like I said before, with how I got through my program, it's a day by day thing. It's one day at a time. um
What
so
made you switch over to sales?
um I wanted to income was a big thing for me, really.
Mhm.
And there's a risk there, right? Because if you don't make sales, you might not be at the company any longer. But I like the entrepreneurial aspect of it, and if you make more sales, you can make more money.
Mhm.
So there was a motivating factor behind the work, right? The better you do, the more you get, which is great. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen in other roles, but I love that aspect of sales.
Yeah.
Um, I feel I'm more of a people person. I feel I'm more of a facilitator. I feel I'm more able to speak to business problems, and really guide things along, right? So I wanted to take that risk, and it's not like I was 100% sure, but I was 70% sure, which was enough for me to take the jump.
Okay.
So I'm still learning, and I wanted to change. I wanted to change. I felt like it was more my career path. I'm very interested about how the business of cyber is developing as well. It's so interesting to me. There's always different client needs, and it's a fast moving market. There's so many players now, and it's not. I feel on the business side it changes so quickly, with so many different technologies, and companies are so interested in different tools to automate their cybersecurity, but also make it more robust, especially when there's so many different domains
Mhm.
and the threat landscape is so segmented to
Mhm.
some degree. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, and, well, I was gonna ask you this question earlier, and I forgot to, but in your methodical planning out of everything, it sounds like you have a database structure in your mind. Was that why you went into SIM?
Uh, I went to Simca because I'll say for the most part, the interviews and jobs that I got after graduating, the opportunity presented itself, and I took it. I wasn't too picky as well because I didn't know anything about cyber in terms
Mhm.
of the practicality of working on ground, right? I just knew that working for a company like Deloitte would expose me to a lot of different things, and I can change within the company like I did to sales,
Mhm.
and take my time to learn things and improve. So um, I wasn't specifically interested in anything really. I just knew that it was an opportunity, and I wanted to take it and see where it led.
Nice. Um, Policies make sense. I work with public sector and understand the concepts and implemented solutions. Depend on the concepts, but never had the hands-on. I think it'll be a journey, but it's not impossible. The certs are expensive, yes. There's not only the certs, there is the annual maintenance fees and the
Mhm.
CPEs that you got to do and
Yeah.
document. So think about those before you go out and you get 100 certs, because now you have potentially 100 certs that you have to pay for every year, and a lot of people don't think about that. Um, we're
Yeah.
approaching the end of our half hour here with you. What are some of the things that you would share with someone that wanted to follow in your footsteps, follow your journey? What would you recommend that you've learned along the way?
The number one thing is don't quit. I think the number one reason people don't get into cyber is because they quit. I don't think because it's too difficult or because it's too hard. It's quitting, as with many things. Number two is find out how you learn.
Hmm.
That's very important. So if you learn by reading, that's how I learn by. I need a book on whatever I want to learn. That's the best way for me to learn. I don't do videos. Just give me a book and I'll make my notes, and that's how I learn. It's never changed. I'm not trying to be different. I'll get my book and I'll read through it. And number three is be structured. You might not know everything, but at least have some structure to it. So if you're gonna apply to jobs, track track when you apply, track if you got a response, track things. You got to see your progress. And even if I apply to jobs again, I'll do the same thing. I got to know my batting rate, right? I got to know. And right now it looks like I'm at 20%. So I trust myself that if I apply for 20 jobs, I'm going to get 4 interviews, unless that changes. But you got to know your batting rate, because if you don't, you won't know what to change. You won't know when to improve. If you're shooting three, if you're making three field goals for 30 attempts, then you need to go back in the gym and see what's happening with your shot, and then go back again and do another 30 shots. Right? Just
But
don't do. Yep.
yeah, let's clarify for the audience. Your 20 shots, as you called it,
Yeah.
weren't 20 like random shots. You
No.
researched these companies, you researched the people at these companies, talked to them before you even applied. So this is like 20 sniper shots
Yeah.
versus like just randomly shooting everywhere with an AK-47 and hoping
Exactly.
hoping it hits.
Exactly. Yeah, perfectly stated. That's exactly what I did.
So, like right now, if you were to look back at yourself, beginning of college, what would you tell yourself?
Um, if I were to look back, I would just say keep going. That's one thing. Just keep going, and I'll just walk away if I were to go back in time, because back then I was just so I was nervous. I wasn't doing too well. So I almost failed some courses. Like it was rough. Like every college student, we always dream about money and uh, can't wait to start living on our own, or just living a certain lifestyle, right? Once you start working. Um, and I'd say number two would be to be patient. I wish I was a lot more patient because college is over, right? Unless I go back, and I wish I enjoyed my friends a lot more. I wish I kind of made a bit more time. I think I was a bit too serious and tried to be. I mean, this is not for everybody, but for me, I think I try to rush to grow up too fast, because once you're here and the bills start coming, they're never gonna go away. So I wish I kind of took my time with that.
Nice. So be persistent, but enjoy life along the way.
Please.
I love that advice. So everyone, thank you for joining us live here on Breaking Into Cybersecurity. We go live 1 p.m. Eastern on Fridays with our guests. Follow both of us, Ayo, myself, on LinkedIn. If you're following us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and then the notification button so that you can see us the next time we come up. And for those of you on podcasts, give us a 10-star rating, or if you can only give us 5, go ahead and share it with all your friends and family. We definitely need more people in the industry from a variety of different backgrounds so that we could solve these complex problems. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day. Ayo, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.